Today, Kase has fully rounded out their new Revolution Plus line of anti-reflective filters and accessories. We'll break it down and talk about what's different. Well, hey everyone, it's Hudson. Welcome to this week's video. So, Kase has fully rounded out the Revolution Plus line of filters, and before we dive into it, I just want to reassure people that already have Revolution filters. It is not an earth-shattering change in the glass itself. There are some cool updates, but it's incremental, and there's no reason to junk your Revolution filters. I think if you're still using Wolverine filters, this might be a good time to upgrade because the magnetism is so much stronger and the usability is so much greater with the color coding, and now you get the anti-reflective coatings too. It's a pretty nice upgrade for you. But for the Revolution users, we're selling all the cool new accessories separately. If you want to mix and match what you upgrade, we're selling the filters individually as your filters get old and gunky and need replacing. So, I don't think it's time to panic about something new displacing your old stuff. The other thing I want to just give a quick correction. A few weeks ago, I did a video about the Plus Master Kits, which came in and confusingly kind of replaced the old Pro ND kits. And it was the first Plus filters that we got in. And I incorrectly stated that the only filter that was really changing was the circular polarizer with the anti-reflective coating, and that's not the case. Kase has corrected me and said that it is all of the filters getting this new anti-reflective coating, which cuts down on glare and and ghosting potentially. So flare, ghosting, glare. So, Again, I'm not seeing a huge difference. The glass is great in all the filters, including the old Wolverine filters that came before the Revolution, but it's a nice enhancement. So let's dig in and check it all out. All right, so Kase has fully launched its Revolution Plus lineup, which I like to think of as their magnetic Revolution filters sort of .2, right? It's not a completely redesigned system, but the filters have some cool enhancements, and the accessories have been enhanced in some really important ways, some of which I'm really proud to have been a part of, had a hand in particular these new Revolution Plus caps. We'll get into that in a minute. I think first off, I get a lot of people that are confused about Wolverine versus Revolution, and it's been a number of years now since Kase originally launched their magnetic filter system in the original version, which I think of as 1.0 and the Revolution is 2.0. The original version was the Wolverines, and it was amazing back in the day to have these ultra thin, really high quality glass magnetic filters that just clicked into magnetic filter holders and made swapping and stacking filters a breeze. The one knock and complaint on them was that they weren't all that magnetic, and it was difficult to tell one filter from another. It had little writing around those tiny little thin bezeled edges. So Kase came out with the Revolution line, which just magnetics were amped to the nth degree, much stronger magnetics in these Revolution filters, all right? And they're color coded. Each filter has its own color code. They're always the same through all the different sizes. Green is neutral night, red is 10-stop ND, gold is 6-stop ND, blue is 3-stop ND, silver is circular polarizer, and black is UV, all right? So with the Plus system, what they've done is added this really amazing anti-reflective coating. If you look at one of the old Revolution filters and look at its reflectivity versus the new Revolution Plus filters, they're quite a bit less reflective, sort of across the board, all the filters in the kits. They've taken the Kase to a new level with these really nice ballistic nylon with water-resistant zippers, water-resistant cases that accordion open and give you a lot of room to work with the individual filters and hold up to 8 filters in the case. Then it clips shut. It's got a little carabiner if you want to hang it somewhere while you're carrying for easy access. Really, really nice. And then finally, they've got the new Plus caps, which are plastic instead of metal and less magnetic. One of the big drags in the original Wolverine and Revolution filters were that the magnetic caps were just as strong a magnetism as the filters, and you go to take the cap off and pull the filter off the filter holder alongside the cap. Those of you who have Revolution filters, I haven't noticed a huge difference. The glass quality in all of the filters, the Wolverines and the Revolutions, are amazing. Yes, the Plus are a little bit less reflective, a little less prone to ghosting and flare, but the older filters weren't very prone to ghosting and flare either. And we now are selling the Revolution Plus Master Kit, which comes with a circular polarizer, 3/6 10-stop neutral density filter, one of these Plus magnetic caps, and the Plus case. But we're also individually selling the Plus magnetic caps, the Plus ballistic waterproof cases, and the Plus individual filters across the line. So in my store, I sell 112 millimeter filters, which work great with Nikon Z system, particularly those who have the amazing 14 to 24S with its 112 millimeter magnetic hood. I also sell the 95 sizes because there are a lot of people who have ultra wide angle lenses that maybe have an 82 millimeter mount. One that I think of in particular is Nikon's travel ultra wide, the 14 to 30 lens, which has an 82 millimeter filter thread. But if you put an 82 millimeter filter on it, even an ultra thin one, you'll have pretty significant vignetting. Bumping out with an adapter to 95 alleviates that, lets you stack filters in front of that lens. Plus, there are some big lenses like the 180 to 600 that Nikon makes, which have 95 millimeter filter threads from the get-go. A lot of brands make big glass with 95 filter threads. They come in the same size case for 95 and 112 millimeter, this large Revolution Plus case. I sell the 82 millimeter filters because even those who currently only own lenses with 77 millimeter filters, the 82 gives you less chance of vignetting with the wide angles, and it protects you against that future purchase you don't even yet know you want to make. The new lens that comes out, say Nikon's Plena, or a big Canon lens that's got 82 millimeter filter threads, or a Sony lens, whatever your brand is, it's really a bummer when you've spent a significant amount of money on a very high quality set of glass filters, and then you buy a new lens that's bigger and you can't use your old filters with it. I know I'm not alone in having spent a significant amount of money in my early photographic days on 77 millimeter filters only to get a brand new lens that had 82 millimeter threads and realize I can't possibly use these filters. And I'm going to show you in a second how I use all these different sizes on my equipment. You can see how easy it is to adapt a larger filter down to a smaller lens. That's always a thing you can do. Adapting a larger lens to a smaller filter, that doesn't happen, all right? And then we sell the 49 millimeter filters, which are specialty, but they work so well for people like me that love Leica's Q3 or Fuji's X100 series cameras, or the Sony RX1. These are filters that works well with those small sort of everyday carry cameras. And the Fuji and the Leica have 49 millimeter threads, so it's sort of perfect off the bat with those, all right? And so I'll talk about how I use these, a few of the accessories I use with them. Again, if you buy a kit, we also sell the Plus Mega Kits, which are in stock now, which come with not just the 3/6 and 10-stop neutral density and circular polarizer, but also a UV filter and a neutral night filter for night work. It just drops the light pollution down. And even when there's not light pollution, it makes the Milky Way pop. So a really, really nice filter if you like to work in night cityscapes or Milky Way photography or star photography. Okay. So again, all that stuff's in the store. You can always run over to my store, to the Kase Filters site, hudsonharry.com/case. You can also just click right here to go into the store section on Kase. And you can sort the filters by what size you're interested in. There's multiple pages, but we've got all of the step-up rings and filters and adapters and everything you might need. Including, we're gonna start with talking about 112 millimeter filters, which work particularly for Nikon users. It's they snap right to the 112 millimeter hood, whether the Nikon version or this even nicer Kase version that I had a little hand in helping get designed and dialed in, which has a magnetic turntable. The hood itself is magnetic. And if you pull, what I do when I'm gonna use this is I open it up. It's got a back cap that's press fit, which kind of goes out beyond what Nikon does, all metal, no potential light leaks from this hood. And you open up your big 112 millimeter case, and let's say we want to use a circular polarizer. Well, I'll just drop it in on that magnetic turntable, pull the cap off the Nikon 14 to 24, rotate it till it clicks. There's a push button to remove, and I can just spin that polarizer right in front of the lens that easily. And this hood fits the 14 to 30 millimeter lens, the 14 to 24 millimeter lens, the 24 to 70 2.8, at least the first version. I haven't tested the second yet. The 70 to 200 2.8, the Plena, the 35 1.2, and the 50 1.2. A number of their high-end lenses let this filter hood be used. Snap, click, there you go, all right? And it's a really, really nice system. And you can stack filters. Let's say you wanted to do a circular polarizer and a 10-stop filter. I grab my red 10-stop filter and I can rotate those both, all right? I can take them both off. I often put a UV filter in this before I ever put that lens on my camera. And that way, if I'm working in moving salt water and blowing wind with sand or salt water where it's potentially splashing, I'm protecting that precious front element of the 14 to 24 millimeter lens that I can't protect any other way. When I want to take the hood off, there's a nice little press button. Very, very nice machined feeling. And I can put that specialty cap back on, put the lens in the bag. If instead I'm wanting to use a lens, oh, and I really like the fact that this keeps nice and clean inside, as I said, with that press fit back cap, but it also fits Nikon's hood cap that comes with the 14 to 24 millimeter lens, that HB97 cap. You have to kind of press it in, you have to give it a hard, but it clicks right into place and locks and won't come off. I mean, you can always use the magnetic plus cap that we've talked about, easy to remove, plastic cap, it comes off without the filters coming off. But I actually like this nice big protective cap, and sometimes I keep the UV in there ready to go if I know I'm going to be working with my 14 to 24. All right, so that's the 112 millimeter system. If I'm working, sometimes I'm carrying the 14 to 24 and some other lenses, usually 77 millimeter filter threads. My sort of trio of choice is the 24 to 120 f4 lens, the 100 to 400 f4 lens, and the 14 to 24. So if I'm working with those, I keep the lenses in my bag with caps on them, right? Pristine front element under the cap. And before I go to mount them on the camera, I'll just go ahead and spin on a 77 to 112 millimeter magnetic case adapter. Those are accessories sold separately from the kit in the store. And with that, out in front of the lens, when I go out to go shooting, I can just slap a UV on there to protect my front element, keep everything clean. When I want to use a circular polarizer, when I want to use an ND, it's as easy as just popping this off, switching it in the bag, sticking another one on, stacking, swapping, whatever. I can put that plus cap on there. It's easy to take the plus cap off without the filter. The filter's so magnetic, they do not come off these mounts, even with glancing blows like that. The original Wolverine would be spinning all over the floor under the camera that's filming this right now. The Revolution filters are a dramatic advancement. The Plus filters are a nice little iterative advancement with less reflectivity and these cool accessories, which are also sold separately. So, love the case, love the Plus cap. Proud to have had a part in designing the Plus cap. If I want to use the 82 millimeter filter on my 77 millimeter lens, it's also dead simple. I can just spin that 77 to 82 millimeter magnetic adapter, and I can use the 82 millimeter plus magnetic cap. And I don't keep all my lenses set up this way. It's so easy because that sticks out a little bit beyond the lens. To put this system on and take the system off, it takes me a second as I pull the lens out of the bag. I keep my adapters, one for each size that I need, in a pocket that's easily accessible. And when I mount my lens to the camera, it's as easy as just spinning that on. And then all my 82 millimeter filters, which are in this kit. This is a Plus mega kit. So I've got UV, circular polarizer, 3610, and night filter. Let's say I want to throw a night filter on here. Boom, I've got my green night filter installed like that. Click, take it back off, put the cap on, easy peasy. I really did struggle with the early Wolverines and Revolution filters with the fact that their magnetic metal caps always brought the filter off with them. And these new Plus caps, they're just magnetic enough that they stay on, but they're easy to take off without pulling the filter at the same time. That's just a huge benefit to me, all right? So, drop that in there. These things zip up nice and snug, easy to throw in your bag. All right, well, actually, before I put that away, I'll showcase how easy it is to go to an even smaller lens. Here's my beloved 50 1.0 Voigtlander on my Nikon ZF. I can take my 62 to 82 millimeter adapter. It's even easier to thread on there. Whoop, boom, there it is. And all of a sudden, say I want to work with a 3-stop neutral density filter so that I can shoot this thing at 1.0 in bright daylight, all right, with this 4,000th of a second shutter at 1.0 in broad daylight. Ooh, it's gotten a little bit brighter out. Let's switch that up and put a 6-stop filter on. It's just that easy, boom. And they on there nice and solid. It's not coming off, all right? Love that. Actually, I had a, there we go. On there nice and solid. You can see that the adapter wasn't quite on there all the way. Put the plus cap on there. Oh, I have 2 plus caps in here. There was already one in there. Boop. Easy to take off without the filter. Boom. You can take the filter back off, not be using it for a second. Keep that magnetic cap on the adapter if you want. Boom. Easy peasy. People ask me, well, what about the fact that you just took your hood off in order to use this larger filter adapter and now you can't put the hood on? And I'm here to tell you that the glass that we're using today is so bloody fantastic. It's great shooting into backlight. The coatings and the lens design that they're doing with computer-generated lens design, it just doesn't flare and ghost like old glass used to. I don't have a problem shooting sunstars in the middle of the day, you know, glancing them off a building, shooting them directly into backlight. I view these hoods that come with our lenses these days as front element protectors. They're more of a prophylactic to keep your lens from getting bashed up against something while you're looking through the camera and getting too close, or from rain hitting the front of your lens, or from you accidentally putting your hand over the front of your lens. The minute that you put a creative filter, like a circular polarizer or a neutral density filter or a UV filter in front of that, the hood's job is being taken up by that. People ask me, well, what if I keep UV filters, threaded UV filters on my lenses all the time? Can I just put the adapter over the UV lens and then use those creative filters in front of my UV filter, not UV lens? And my answer is you could do that, but I don't think it's a good idea. You know, when I am running around and I've got, say, my magnetic UV, or maybe I've got Kase threaded MCUV3 filters in my store too, which you can just leave on your lenses as sort of a second lens cap. And say you're out hiking with your family and you're taking photos and it's just kind of snapshots, family memories. You're bouncing around, maybe you got a little sunscreen fingerprint on there, there's dust accumulating on that UV filter, it's getting grimy and gunky, and now all of a sudden you're out with the family and you see the clouds are turning gold and they're spectacular. You run, you grab your tripod from the car, you set up to take that magnificent landscape photo, pull that UV filter off. It's dirty. Your lens underneath is pristine. Right? It's been protected that whole time by that UV filter, and now you've got a clean front element to work with. If you want to throw a specialty filter on, it's clean out of your bag. You keep your filters clean, something you do at the end of every day after you've been using them. It's perfectly clean, but you don't want a dirty piece of glass that's doing nothing for you underneath there when you're really making a painstaking photograph that counts. I think of UV filters as that snapshot run and gun protector for your front element to keep it clean so that when you get to the great photograph, you can pull that UV filter out of the way and have a really clean element underneath, all right? And the final thing I'll talk about a little bit is the 49 millimeter filters as well as the inlaid filters for the Kase system, all right? So Kase makes these inlaid adapter rings, and I have one here on my Leica Q3 mounted inside the lens, all right? So it's a little very thin metal ring that just threads into the filter rings and it goes into the barrel of your lens, and then filters just click right to the front of your lens. So I keep a UV filter on my Leica Q3 all the time to protect this spectacular Summilux 28 1.7. Then I keep the 49 millimeter filters come in this cute little small 49 millimeter ballistic nylon case, the waterproof case, but I sell an accessory, these metal stack caps, and there's a front and a back one. And for these little filters, they're kind of wonderful. I have the whole mega kit here. Well, I have the UV filter on the camera, but there's the circular polarizer, 3, 6, 10, stop, and night filter, and I can just throw them in my pocket or in the little bag I keep my Leica in, and you know, I've got this stack of awesome little filters, and I can switch and flop and switch without even using a ring adapter, because this is a 49mm filter thread lens, same as the hoods that go on the Fuji X100 cameras. I had Kase customize their inlaid ring for this particular camera. On the face of this lens, it's got beautiful, painted inscription that it's the Summilux 1.7 Leica, with a serial number. And I was worried that threading a little metal ring into there might scratch that surface. And so I had them build a special little inlaid adapter with a tool to put it in there really carefully, a metal 3D tool that makes it really simple to install and remove. And they called it the HUD for Hudson, the HUD padded inlaid ring. So you can buy those for any of the lenses that you want to use inlaid rings on. I've got 82, 49, and 95 in my store. They're padded on the backside so they protect the front of the lens when they're threaded in. I have some words of warning about the inlaid rings though. I absolutely love them on the Leica. You can use that plus cap for 49. It makes it so low profile that you can thread that hood that comes with your Leica Q3 on over the top all the way when you've got a UV in there protecting your front lens, and you just spin the hood off and switch to the other creative filters you might want to use. It works great with this camera. There are lenses where there's a huge gap behind the filter threads and the inlaid ring will fall in and rattle around between the front element and the filter threads, and you want to be very careful about that. The Nikon Plena is one of those lenses. Its 82mm threads have a big gap behind there. So you got to be a little bit careful. And then the other thing is that there are inlaid adapter rings. So instead of threaded, like this 77 to 82mm ring, they're magnetic and they're designed to use with the inlaid ring. So you would put an inlaid 77mm ring in here and then use an inlaid magnetic 77 to 82mm adapter that just clicks to the front of the lens. And there's two problems with that. People ask me about it all the time. Why don't you carry those in your store? The problem is that if you bump it, the magnetic ring, it sticks out a little bit, and if it's bumped, it'll lose its connection to the lens. The ring is deeper inset inside. The magnetic connection is not as strong as the connection between the adapter ring and the filter. So your filter and your adapter will pop right off, whereas the threaded one won't. And it really, truly takes that much effort to spin a magnetic ring on. I have never, ever had a difficult time putting one on or taking one off after years of doing this. It just is that quick, right? It's like a problem that doesn't need, it's not a problem. It's like a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. It's a much more secure connection. It's safer. And then once your filters are on there, they are really on there. The other problem with it is, just like the over magnetic metal cap, if you go to pull the filter off to switch when you have, they're so magnetic, it's like you got to get it off. It brings the adapter ring with it, and then you've got your camera here and you're trying to pry your inlaid adapter ring apart from the filter and then put your inlaid adapter ring back on the lens and then get your other filter. And every time you want to switch or swap or stack filters, you've got this problem with the adapter ring popping off with the filters, just like those old over magnetic metal caps that I worked with Kase to solve with the plus lighter magnetic cap. So I'm not a big fan of the inlaid magnetic adapter rings. I like the threaded step-up adapter rings, which is what are in my store. You won't find the inlaid magnetic rings in my store. So that's it. That's how I use the kit. I'm hoping this is pretty comprehensive. Obviously, if you have questions, email me. I'm easily accessible. And I hope you really enjoy the system. Again, for those of you who already have Revolution filters, I don't necessarily think that you need to run out and buy all new filters. The anti-reflectivity is a nice thing. As your filters wear out, replace them with plus filters. We sell them individually. Again, we have the cases in all the sizes. The large plus case is great for the 95s and 112s. The medium is great for 82s, and if you use 77s or 62s. And then the little 49 case, I think, works for the 58 and below. I know 52 and below. It's described on the store product page, though. If you look at the product page, it'll tell you what filter sizes fit in which of these cases. All right, so hopefully that cleared up a few things. Make sure you sign up for the next office hours. You can run over to hudsonhenry.com/office hours or click here and leave us a question for those big free group photography get-togethers on Zoom and YouTube Live. We love seeing you guys there and just talking photography for an hour with like-minded people. So join us, it's fun. Again, links to all of the stuff. I'm selling all these filters on our website. It helps us out tremendously when you use those links. There's also links to all the gear that I use, advocate you considering, and recommend and stand behind over at hudsonhenry.com/ATS links. You can click right here. This fall is spinning up fast with workshops on the Southern Oregon coast and in Scotland. Back-to-back workshops with amazing groups of photographers in the Isle of Skye, Glasgow. I cannot wait. We're gearing up. I'm starting to think about what's going in the bag for that as I'm filming this video. So I hope you all have some fun adventure or some fun photography adventures planned. If you want to get on a workshop in 2026 or even 2027 with us, make sure you're chatting with Rick. You know, you can run to my website, you go to the workshops page, and you'll find a list of what we're planning, and you can put input, you can ask to be notified about it. You can always email Rick at Hudson Henry Photography, or at rick@hudsonhenry.com. He's easy to get a hold of and talk about what you might want to get into. I know it's not easy for alumni to get in, for non-alumni to get into these workshops, and Rick is the key. Talking to him about what you'd like to do is the key to coordinating, making sure that you get a slot in a future workshop. So, all right, everybody, I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying creative. We'll see you next week.